Hi, I'm Brad Griffith with Home Improvement and Maintenance, and I've been asked by a customer to paint their kitchen cabinets, and so I did a little research and development on YouTube and discovered some less than perfect videos on how to do it, and I'm sure I'll probably skip a step and will be also less than perfect, but this is fresh in my brain, and so I'd like to share some of the tips and tricks that I have come across in doing this project. First thing we did was we took all the items out of the doors and the shelves so that we could have easy access and painting, and those items wouldn't get splattered with paint. We did, because the hinges, we kept the hinges in the shelves so we wouldn't get them mixed up. Some of them are tweaked a little bit specifically for the door, but you could label those. The doors we didn't label, but they're pretty self-explanatory on getting them back to where they go. We didn't label them because we're also going to paint the underneath side, and there would be difficulty on, where do you put the label. So I just wanted to also let you know I set up a paint station in the garage, several tables and drop cloths so that I could paint out there and not in here, but for purposes of the video we are set up in here to do a little show and tell. One of the tips is you don't want to paint right after the kids have been playing basketball in the garage and the dog's been running around. All those things will stir up a lot of dust, and that dust lands on your freshly paint, and so if you can avoid some of those activities, and that'll for sure give you a good product, so dust doesn't settle on the cabinet. So one of the things we did, you can use any kind of primer. This particular one is just what we chose, actually the customer chose. But one of the tips we like to do is we put a tint. We had actually it was Home Depot, tint the primer towards the color of the paint. So we brought this paint in, had them tint it, and what that does is it helps cover or get you to the paint color quicker, and it covers a lot nicer. So in this particular cabinetry, we primed it twice because the stains were still coming through. And also what we also did is we took some latex reducer, and what that does, and we added 2 ounces to the paint, and typically we would use a semi-gloss enamel interior. Obviously you can read the label, but by adding the reducer, it softens the paint, and when you roll it out or brush it out, what happens is the paint lays down a lot smoother and it blends in. It's a little runnier, but by doing that, what happens is it just blends and flows really nicely, and you don't get as many roller marks or brush marks in it. And it just makes it just such a better job by adding the reducer. So after we took the doors and drawers out, we cleaned them, a little soap and water, clean them, let them dry, and then you kind of sand up, because these had a little bit of varnish that was curling, so we sanded those up with 220 sandpaper, and just, we kept on folding. You can get it in the grooves. Once again, I didn't do the sanding here, I did it in the garage and vacuumed. Once you're done with the drawer, kind of vacuum it out. If you blow on it, then you're creating a lot of dust in the garage in your paint area. So I have a little shop vac So you can get into the cracks by fold. Use your thumb to get into the curved areas, and that will also kind of rough up the cabinet to receive the paint. And we did that here as well when we needed to. We also cleaned the peanut butter and the jam or tomato sauce off of the cabinetry. Just remember to do that. I'm going to skip a step here. We did paint the underneath side. I almost forgot all about it. It was out of sight, out of mind, but we did paint that off. It adds a nice touch, and in this particular color it will also reflect a lot more light underneath the cabinets. So we usually have a paint pail. It's not here. It's called a handy paint pail, and it's got inserts so you can pour paint in and use it with one hand and paint with the other. Sorry, I don't have that. But in this particular case, we have a sponge roller that we lay down the bulk of the paint, and then we like to use a Purdy brush, and that's not pretty brush, it's a Purdy brush. So the key to this is they have a nice fine bristle, and it's at an angle, and also it's at a taper. So when you have those details, you can run the paint really easily where you want it and not get overwhelmed with a lot of extra paint. Excuse me. So in this particular case, we did roll the first batch, the first run. And what we do is we rolled it, and then we'll brush it. And unfortunately, I let this dry a little longer, and with the lamps for the video, dry it a little quicker. But that will help spread the paint. So this is just the first coat of primer here. And you don't want to get too much paint on your brush. It'll be a real pain to get off first because it'll go up the bristles. And if you've got a long project, after a while you'll get a lot of these little paint drying little things right here, and you might want to just stop, clean your brush out, soap and water, dry it out real good, and start over. That'll make for less paint marks. But down in the grooves, you want to, the roller won't get down in there. And just fan it out, brush it out. Try to not, excuse me, try not to leave a bitter end like this, a line when you finish. Kind of just taper it out a little bit. If you have to walk away and deal with kids or something like that, definitely don't leave a line. I don't know if you could see that, but I did leave a line, and now it's causing a little problems. But that'll all be covered up with the other paint coats. See how I left that line right there? That was actually a mistake. It just is a little thicker paint there, and a little hard to recover and make it look smooth. So kind of blend it out. Also, you notice that this wood grain goes this way, this wood grain goes that way. It's a little more difficult to go with the grain specifically, but when you do your final coat, and the other coats as well, I do like to go and finish off the brush stroke with the grain wood that's there. it'll just make it look more like wood if you go in the same direction. If the grain's going this way and you go back and forth like this, it just doesn't look very good. But some people don't mind the thin roller. The roller leaves little texture. Some people don't really mind that. So you might want to ask your customer if you want a real smooth finish or not. One of the other things that tips and tricks, obviously some basics, drop cloths, screwdriver, paint stir stick, water, some kind of a cleaning, some area to clean the brushes, the sink. But a couple of the other tips I'd like to share is have some really good light on the subject. And this is a camera stand, and so by using a camera stand you can adjust it up and down and sideways and rotate it. And by doing that, let's say when I was painting the underneath sides of the cabinet, it's all dark under there, so what you do is you rotate your light and get it up in there where it really counts. And by doing that, when you turn the light off, you'll notice that there are just a lot better paint. It's just a lot better paint job. If you don't use a good light, there'll be shadows, and then you'll think you're all done, and you'll go, oh no. It's like, oh, I missed that. How in the world did I miss that spot? The other thing I like to use is a foam pad. I call it my old guy pad because my knees aren't what they used to be. It also doubles as a drop cloth in the corner there. And you spend a lot of time on your knees painting the lower cabinets. And so when you do have an old guy pad, knee pad, you can stay down a lot longer and it won't, beat your knees up. Also, I have this stool, and that also helps because I sit on that, and that's, you need a steady hand when you're getting into some of these areas here. And it just helps to change up your painting position some so that your legs don't fall asleep. Also, a step stool really comes in handy. A 5-gallon bucket might work, but they'll tip over. A chair, you might get paint on it. So if you got to use like a garage type step stool, that would be handy. So, and also plan on having TV dinners for a while. So this particular project, I've been doing it off and on for about a week, and this customer has run off on a vacation, and Lord willing, I'll be all done when they get back. So that's, this has been a really nice job to work on since they've been gone. So I hope this has been informative. I too probably, have left out a few details, but I hope this has been helpful. Thank you very much. I'm Brad Griffith with Home Improvement and Maintenance.